can't get thrown out like that. You just can't.
It's the only thing he's good at, is yelling at umpires.
Yeah.
Other than that, he has no feel for the game, no grasp of the game, no idea how to manage a bullpen, no idea how to write up a lineup card. He certainly has no feel for high leverage spots and who to bring in. Devin Williams. There's nothing he does well other than scream and yell at the umpires.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Tigers aren't out of first place. They're still in first place, Tom, by 5 games over the Cleveland Guardians. But you see, like, last 10 games, Detroit Tigers 5-5. Last 10 games, Guardians. Winners of 9 of 11 games, winners of 5 straight games. They're only 5 back now than the Kansas City Royals, sitting at 8.5 back. The Detroit Tigers, so much fun this year, but now facing adversity with a month and a half left in the season.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees have an 80.7% chance of still making the playoffs. That just tells you that parity is alive and well in Major League Baseball, where mediocre teams can still make the playoffs, and the Yankees are mediocre but have above mediocre talent. So if they can put it together, you still got an 80% chance of playing postseason baseball.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on, and welcome to Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. I am back. Kevin Walsh is still out. As I mentioned yesterday, I will be here today and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We have a loaded sports slate to get to tonight. We have a full slate of MLB, which is starting in just about 10 minutes. We'll get to those games quickly. We have games in the WNBA tonight, and we have preseason NFL with 2 games tonight, and then, of course, a full slate of games tomorrow and throughout Sunday, and even a game on Monday this week. There's certainly a lot to get to. We have some guests throughout the show. We have Coach James Young coming up the next segment to talk about WNBA. We have Adam Kaplan here a little bit later during the 7 o'clock hour to talk about some NFL, and then Rob Donaldson, professional sports handicapper, a little bit later in the 7 o'clock hour to talk some MLB. So there is a ton going on. And let's get to this MLB slate, and let's actually get to some of our best bets for tonight, myself, and then the rest of the crew, the producers behind the scenes, because we have some of these games starting in just a few minutes. Myself tonight, 2 that I like. One starts at 6:45, will be Zach Wheeler for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's on the mound tonight. They're looking to bounce back for a win, but I like him under 7.5 strikeouts. The Phillies are minus 205 on the money line. Massive favorites. They lost last night, but Zach Wheeler, despite the fact that he's having a borderline Cy Young season in the NL, we have known for a couple of weeks at this point that he's dealing with a shoulder injury. And last weekend, when he was out against the Rangers, only 5 innings pitched, 83 pitches, more importantly. So under 7.5 strikeouts for Wheeler is what I like tonight. I think it's a pitch count thing, and despite the Nationals not being a good team overall, they're actually in the top 5 for the lowest strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching. So Wheeler under 7.5 strikeouts. I also really like the Mariners today on the road, taking on the New York Mets. You get them at plus 102, plus 104. The line's moving just a little bit. The Mariners are a great team. They're coming off a couple losses, and the Mets are absolutely drowning right now. They have been playing terribly. The starting pitching isn't there. Yeah, they improved the bullpen at the trade deadline. That's great to see. But when your starters are giving up 6 runs, you can't get to those high leverage relievers at the back end of the bullpen. The offense isn't consistent. And the fact that we're getting plus money on Luis Castillo going up against Sean Manaea, I will take that time and time again. So we have that starting at 7:10. The Phillies game starts in just about 10 minutes at this point. But some other big news across the MLB. The game coming up in just a handful of minutes would be the Brewers activating their rookie pitcher, Jacob Mizorowski. He is back. They're taking on the Reds, and of course the Brewers on this unbelievable 12-game win streak. They are minus 138 on the money line. They are visiting the Reds. Reds are plus 118 at home, 8.5 over under. I have not seen anything in terms of a pitch limit or a pitch count, innings limit, whatever you want to call it, for Mizorowski. We have to remember that he went on the IL a couple of weeks ago due to a knee issue. It's not an arm or an elbow, shoulder, no issue like that. So he should be good overall. I'm expecting him to get into the fifth inning, 80 some odd pitches. We did see the Brewers scale him back when he made the start at Seattle multiple weeks ago before he went on the IL. So that is something to note of. He can be extremely efficient with the strikeouts, and the Reds are a rather free-swinging team. So he can certainly pile up the strikeouts in 4 innings pitched, and they don't let him go past the fifth because, frankly, the Brewers have their sights set higher. It's not about winning the series versus the Reds and or extending their win streak to 13 games. They want to be pushing into the postseason. And if you ease him back into the rotation, he should be good to go for that. Rangers Blue Jays also coming up at the top of 7 o'clock. Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Rangers. They are actually slight favorites on the road, taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, who are certainly very strong right now. Rangers minus 110. The Blue Jays at home, they're minus 106. Chris Bassett will be on the mound for the Blue Jays. We saw the Blue Jays with comeback win yesterday. Late inning home run from Vladdy. The total for this is 7.5. Frankly, the Rangers just don't score on offense. However, I'm not too worried about this matchup going up against Chris Bassett. So you give me a deGrom team at near even money, I think that's where I'd be going with this. And you could certainly like the Blue Jays in this. I'm not sure if their offense is going to get going against deGrom. He has looked okay-ish in the past few starts. It hasn't been the dominant deGrom that we saw earlier in the season, but I do like the Rangers at minus 110 odds. After that, we have a slew of games starting. Atlanta visiting the Cleveland Guardians. I certainly like the Cleveland Guardians in this. I simply don't think the Braves are a good team. They're coming off of, I don't want to say an emotional win or emotional wins going up against one of their division rivals in the Mets, but the Guardians are playing for their lives at this point. It's obviously not a literal sense that they're playing for, but they are hunting down the Yankees when it comes to the AL wildcard. And again, I will take the Guardians at home against the Braves team. I think have been overperforming in their past few games, beating up on the Mets. And again, somewhat of an emotional series for them taking those games. And then we have the Red Sox back at home after their West Coast road trip. Lucas Giolito will be on the mound for them. They're minus 166 home favorites, taking on the Marlins, who were just at Cleveland this past week. Alcantara will be on the mound for the Marlins. They are plus 140 in the money line, is an 8.5 over-under. I would lean with the Red Sox. I don't like the minus 166 price. You know that the Red Sox have been super strong on offense. I would look towards a team total now for the Red Sox to go up and over that compared to taking them at minus 166 on the money line. And then finally, Mets, Mariners, already touched on one. Mets are minus 130 at this point. The line has moved to the Mariners up at plus 110 at this point. I like them at plus 102, plus 104. I'll certainly take them at plus 110. And an 8.5 total for that one. I could see this game going over, and just because the Mets bullpen and pitching staff has not been good as of late. So that's the first set of MLB games. We have others coming up at 8:10, 8:15 start and beyond that. We also have an NFL preseason game tonight between the Atlanta Falcons. They're taking on the Tennessee Titans. We know that Easton Stick will be starting for the Falcons in this one. We have a 3-point spread. The Titans are road favorites. That is 3-point favorites for the Titans. Minus 164 in the money line and a 36.5 over-under. Again, Easton Stick starting for the Falcons. It is not Michael Penix. And they also announced that Kirk Cousins will not be playing for the Falcons. The Titans will not have Calvin Ridley out there. They won't have Tyler Lockett out there. So it'll be Cam Ward at the helm with some of their younger receivers trying to get the offense going early. And there are various reports out there. This is something, everyone's seeing that the Titans have been starting off slow when it comes to the joint practices. They started off slow last week in their first preseason game. They're certainly looking to get the offense going in that one. Last week, when it comes to preseason totals, as everyone is aware, games flying over the total. Nearly every game went over. Was a 14-2 to the over, and then we had the one game void between was the Lions game that was void because of the player injury. They ended that one early, but everything's flying over. And a lot of people are going to say, okay, the lines adjusted. Is this the spot where you look to start taking unders because there was a market correction with the lines, and lines that were 35, 36 are now up at 39, 40. Do you start taking unders at this point? To me, it is entirely situational in preseason, whether the totals when 14-2 last week, 2-14, doesn't matter. You have to be looking at things at an individual basis, and trends that we saw from last week don't really carry over into this week when a different set of players are going to be playing and starters and are ready. That and the other thing. So don't blindly buy into over trends just because we saw so many last week. We have to look at this week's matchups and this week's set of news individually, knowing that, for example, with Miami and Detroit, which we have tomorrow at 1 p.m., we heard some notes and read some things that the Dolphins are looking to play their starters beyond the first quarter. Okay, well, that is something to take note of, and that means we're going to have somewhat of a competent offense for a larger portion of the game. That would indicate that we should be seeing more points scored if any company are going to be out there. So we have a ton to get to. Again, 2 NFL preseason games tonight, a whole slate of MLB. We have an entire slate of WNBA coming up, and we have Coach James Young coming up on this next segment to break down all of these games across that. We have other guests, Adam Kaplan and Rob Donaldson, coming up in the 7 o'clock hour for football and baseball, respectively. We have a ton to get to. Stay tuned right here on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions. My name is Tom Vecchio, right here on SportsGrid. We got a ton to get to. We touched on the MLB slate that's about to get underway. We have an NFL preseason game about to get underway. But right now, let's welcome in the very own JY, Coach James Young, talk about tonight's WNBA slate. And Coach, we have a variety of totals across the board, high, low. We have a number of games we want to jump into. Let's start off with Golden State Valkyries because they've been playing significantly better as of late, along with their win total on the season flew over and kind of surprising people against the Chicago Sky, a team that you have been down on since we did in-game live for the opening game of the season. What do you got?
Yeah, they stink. There is no way around it. They are bad, and it's an interesting matchup. Valkyrie's team, Tom, that could become the first WNBA team, I think, expansion team to make the playoffs. 7 out of 8 against the spread their last 8 games versus a team that's 1-9 against the spread. No Angel Reese. One team's competing, the other one isn't. Anytime I see the Sky, particularly without Angel Reese, I just go against them. I'm going to lay the 7.5 points for the Valkyries on the road tonight.
All right, now when it comes to the Las Vegas Aces, they have had a wild season where they looked absolutely horrible at times. Now they've seemingly turned things around. 4.5-point underdogs against the Phoenix Mercury. You have plays in this game I know that you like, and what should be the expectations for the Aces long term? Have they officially turned around their season at this point?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, Tom. Reason why I think they're playing significantly better is one, Jewel Lloyd has gone to the bench, which Tom, I never understood the trade. I just thought Kelsey Plum was the perfect complement for Jack Young, for Asia Wilson, for the point guard Chelsea Gray. I also thought, I've been saying this for 2 years, I don't know how Kia Stokes starts in the WNBA, with all due respect. Nalissa Smith, who they got in a trade midway during the year, listen, Tom, she's not going to blow your doors off, but she can give you 8 to 10 points and 6-7 rebounds, which is a far upgrade over someone like Kia Stokes. So I think those two things have been good, but also people have started to play better. So let's go with the props for tonight. I like Jackie Young to go over 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Tom has gone over in 4 of the last 5 games, playing good basketball, but in a game versus the Phoenix Mercury, a game, Tom, that I think is going to be relatively close. You look at the fact that 6 out of the last 7 times that she has got 30-plus minutes, she's gone over this. So if there's a close game, she plays big minutes. She goes over 25.5 PRA. We talked about Jewel Lloyd. Her 3-point prop, this is something that Kevin was on. And shout out to Kevin. He's probably having more fun than the two of us right now, but we'll get to him next week when he gets back. Over 1.5 made threes. Listen, she's gone over in 6 out of the last 8 games. All right? Phoenix is 6th in 3-point percentage defense, but it's the attempts, Tom. I don't think there's a game in her last 9 where she's gotten up at least 5 3-point attempts. Tom, I know it's minus 144, minus 148 shop around, but 2 threes by Jewel Lloyd with the volume that she's getting, I like that. And for a side, I'm going to go with the team total over 82.5 for the Phoenix Mercury. The Aces are not great defensive. Remember, the defensive coordinator is now the coach of the Valkyries. That's why they're really good defensively, right? Aces, 9th in defensive rating, 9th in effective field goal percentage defense. They're playing a team that they're number 6 in pace. They're playing a team number 2 in pace, and they can score with Kalia Copper, with Alyssa Thomas, with Satu Sabli, over 82.5 tonight for the Phoenix Mercury.
Now, one of the lines that's catching my eye, at least, is with the Atlanta Dream tonight, only laying 2 against Seattle when Atlanta's cruising right now. And you have talked about them really since the beginning of the year going with a double big lineup, and Seattle seemingly can't do anything. Why is this only 2 points tonight?
Because people are waiting for Seattle to win a game. Like, besides that 10-point win, that Atlanta had, which is weird, Tom. Like, Atlanta just played Seattle in Seattle 2 nights ago. Now they're playing Seattle in Atlanta. We'll get to that another time with the WNBA schedule. But to me, Seattle's lost a bunch of close games. But I'm not falling for it, Tom. I'm gonna just take them on the money line tonight. The obviously the Atlanta winners of 6 straight. Storm losing different ways to lose. I just think the Dream are playing well. Tom, people will notice they got the 2nd best record in the WNBA. They passed the Liberty with a 21-11 record. I'm riding the Dream until they lose. Give me the Atlanta Dream on the money line tonight, along with really quick with that game. Reason why I like them too, Alicia Gray. She's been dynamic. And Tom, like, she's gone over her points problem, 16.5 her last 5 games. So people are thinking, well, Ryan Howard's back. That doesn't matter. The last 11 times Ryan Howard has played with Alicia Gray, she's gone over her prop 8 out of 11 times. She's gone over 9 out of 12 games versus Seattle Storm. No one can check her. Alicia Gray over 16.5 points tonight.
And then quickly tomorrow, the Minnesota Lynx 2-point favorites at home taking on the Liberty. They're cruising right now, and they're doing all this without Nafisha Collier. What are you expecting for this game? Because 2 points for a team at home, I feel like that's the side to be on.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time going either way. I think I'm going to go with the under. The problem, Tom, is when you really look at it, the Liberty played them. It's crazy. They didn't play all season. They played last Sunday in New York. Liberty were up about 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter, and then the wheels fell off, like really fell off. So to me, I think this game is defensively going to be the key. And then if you look at the Liberty, Emma Messam has been really good. She's starting to turn on. Remember, 2019 WNBA most valuable player in the finals. I think she actually questioned the Liberty's effort in that game. I'm not seeing who wins. It'll be close, but I like the under. I think it's going to be a heavyweight fight come tomorrow afternoon.
Huge game coming up for them. The Liberty haven't had things going in their direction. The one game we didn't touch on would be the Sparks and the Wings. Anything on that quick? We know that Paige Beckers is going to play tonight. She's listed as available. We got 30 seconds. What do you got?
I would just go with Paige over PRA. She's going to be able to score. That game should be up and down. Not a lot of defense from either team tonight.
All right, so Sparks, that's 5.5-point road favorites taking on the Wings, but Coach likes Paige Beckers going up and over her props. That's Coach James Young. I'm Tom Vecchio. We'll be back. We have more coming up right here on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. Stay tuned.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the ninth inning. And if he doesn't get there, there. If you just take them that's place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. Thanks to Coach James Young for coming on, going down the entire WNBA slate, including the game tomorrow between the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty. Now we turn our sights to the NFL preseason game, which is about to start in less than 10 minutes. That is the Titans visiting the Atlanta Falcons, and that number has moved since I last spoke about 10, 15 minutes ago, that is down to 2.5 points in favor of the Titans. So it was Titans -3. It is now Titans -2.5, -152 on the money line, and the total has not moved at 36.5. Obviously, a lot of this comes down to potential late breaking news when it comes to what players are in, what players are out. Again, Michael Penix not expected to play for the Falcons. Easton Stick will be starting for them. Kirk Cousins will not be playing. Ultimately, I just see this as somewhat of a risk prevention, and I think Kirk Cousins will end up being traded at a certain point in the season. If they're going to go with Michael Penix, there's really no reason to keep him on the roster. They're going to have to cut him, eat the dead salary, whatever it might be, and then move him to a team that has a quarterback injury at some point, and they want a viable starting quarterback so they can make a push for the playoffs. As for the Titans, it will be Cam Ward under center. We know that he got the start last week. They started off a little bit slow, and that has been the report coming out of training camp with their combined practices that Cam Ward and the Titans offense have been starting slow. So if you are looking to back them, I wouldn't mind going to a Titans first quarter bet or first half bet rather than simply going to the Titans for the full game. Again, the line has moved against them from 3 down to -2.5, a 36.5 over under. There are other players sitting out for the Titans. We got reports earlier today that both Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett, two of their veteran wide receivers, are going to be sitting today. That is not a surprise for them. For the Atlanta Falcons, haven't seen much on them, not expecting Darnell Mooney to play, of course. And if there's going to be no Michael Penix in there, it is reasonable to assume that we won't see too much of Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and or Ray McLeod. We will likely see the depth players in there alongside Easton Stick. And Emory Jones is the fourth string starter for the Falcons, who will likely be seeing time splitting between Stick and Emory Jones. And after Cam Ward, we will likely see what the Titans did last week, and is a combination of Brandon Allen and Trevor Siemian coming in. We do know that Tajay Spears got hurt. He is likely out. If there's going to be any run for Tony Pollard, it'll be early, if any at all. And then outside of that, it'll be Chico Okonkwo, their starting tight end, alongside Van Jefferson. They will be in when Cam Ward is there, and likely coming out when he is out of the game as well, and let Brandon Allen and the third stringers go from there. The MLB board is underway, and the Phillies have struck early. It is still the top of the first. There are still no outs, and they have 2 runs on the board, first and second. So the Yurfee cashes for that one nice and early. Mackenzie Gore continues to struggle for the Nationals. He went through a rough stretch at the end of July. He had a very nice start last weekend at the San Francisco Giants, got that strikeout rate going again. Really didn't get hit too hard, and now he's taking on the Phillies. And despite the Phillies offense really struggling over the past few games, they failed to get a whole lot of runs on the board last night. They failed to get a whole lot of runs on the board during the entirety of the series versus the Reds. They had a late inning surge in game 1 with the Kyle Schwarber home run, but outside of that, Brady Singer and Andrew Abbott really kind of held them in check, and now Mackenzie Gore is giving up runs. So it's 2-0 in the top of the first. The Brewers and the Reds are in the bottom of the first. They have 2 outs and 2 strikes. So if you're rooting in the Nerfy, that is looking certainly close for the Brewers and the Reds. Again, we have a slew of games starting at 7. That would be Rangers, Blue Jays, Braves, Guardians, Marlins, Red Sox, Mariners, Mets. And like I said, the Mariners are one of my best bets of the day. Really like the fact that we're getting plus money on a super solid team with a great pitcher with Luis Castillo. Meanwhile, the Mets are a sinking ship right now, and there's no way we should be laying -135 on the New York Mets with Sean Manaea on the mound, with a pitching staff that can hold a lead, with a bullpen that can hold a lead, and an offense that can't score enough runs to have me confident in laying -135. So Mariners is one of my best bets of the day, along with Zach Wheeler under 7.5 strikeouts, which I gave out at the top of the show. That game again is underway. The Phillies are still up 2-0 in the top of the first, 8 bases loaded with 1 out. Brewers, Reds, 2 outs, runners on first and second. So if you are rooting in the Yurfee, you have life with a runner in scoring position, even though there are 2 outs. We have a ton more to get to. More baseball games are going to be opening up. We do have a second NFL preseason game tonight between the Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks. We will certainly touch on that. We are at 7 o'clock. We have 2 other guests coming up in this hour, between Adam Kaplan to talk about the NFL and then Rob Donaldson to talk about the MLB slate. So plenty to get to. Stay tuned right here on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions rolls on.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point if Aaron Jones misses time where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron that was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay, a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that place higher, you're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. We are rolling through the MLB slate, and the Reds did get a run across the board in the bottom of the first. There was 2 on, 2 out, so the Yerfy cashes in both Brewers Reds and Phillies Nats. It is still the top of the first between the Phillies and the Nationals. Bases loaded, 2 outs, so they are threatening big time. And again, the Phillies closed at minus 196, minus 200 thereabout with Zach Wheeler on the bump today. That has jumped up to minus 670 on the money line for the Phillies with bases loaded, 2 outs and already 2 in. Mizorowski, again, activated off of the IL for the Brewers, and he is struggling. He gets out of the first finally, but he did allow 4 hits and the 1 run. So again, 2 Yerfys cashing for both of those games. We have other games that are about to have first pitch now as we went through. Right now, I am seeing the Marlins Red Sox at least locked on FanDuel, and that game has yet to have first pitch. So if there's any late breaking news, we'll certainly get to that. But we were also about to have kickoff for the NFL preseason game between the Titans and the Falcons. And as I mentioned, later on at 10 o'clock, we have the Chiefs taking on the Seahawks. For that game, the Seahawks are 4.5-point home favorites, minus 210 on the money line, and we have a 39.5 over-under. The Chiefs are not expected to play too many, if any, of their starters. The Chiefs have also had a slew of news come out regarding Rashee Rice. We know that he will be suspended. His hearing will not take place until the end of September, so he will be available for roughly the first 4 weeks for the Chiefs. His suspension hearing will then happen, and then he will be suspended in the middle of the season, which certainly throws a wrench into things in terms of figuring out what their offense is going to look like. Because of that, when that news came out yesterday, when Schefter tweeted, Adam Schefter, that is, tweeted that Rice's hearing would happen at the end of September, I'm mostly interested in what we see and what we get from Xavier Worthy receiving props leading up, the first 4 weeks when Rice is there, and then what it looks like after, because we know Worthy was really trusted with a large portion of the offense last year after Rice got hurt. And throughout the struggles that Travis Kelce had on offense, we know that he started the year very, very slowly. He certainly ended it much better. But, Xavier Worthy was a consistent option in the offense for the Chiefs. Now, we do have to add in the fact that Hollywood Brown will be healthy and ready to go from the start of the season for the Chiefs, which they did not have last year. He joined the team very late in the season after his injury. So where Worthy falls, Rice is there, Hollywood Brown's there, then Rice leaves. Kelsey presumably will be a little bit better this year than he was last year. Xavier Worthy, a first-round pick for him, they want him to be one of the focal points of the offense when it's all said and done. So how that dynamic works out and where the props fall, that's going to be the most interesting spot, because I don't want to say that the Chiefs will be looking to get Rice the ball, knowing that they want to establish some type of on-field rhythm, between him and Mahomes. Granted, there was, rhythm when Rice was a rookie, but obviously the injury last year, him coming back this year, do they want to force him the ball in the first few weeks that he's there? And then do we see Xavier Worthy really emerge as the number one wide receiver? And then what happens once Rice returns? So that's something I will be paying attention to in the first 4 weeks of the season. Again, the Chiefs start off the season in Brazil to take on the Chargers on Friday night. So Thursday night, we see the Eagles open at home, Super Bowl champs. We know that they are the Chiefs, that is, are traveling to Brazil to take on the Chargers. But as for the Chiefs tonight, again, 4.5 point road underdogs taking on Seattle at 39.5 over under in that one. Again, we now have seen the Brewers tie things up in the top of the second, and now they are minus 128 on the money line. I'm assuming it's a solo shot to come through for them. Let's just double check real quick, because we have, Christian Yelich, a solo home run to tie things up for the Brewers in the top of the second. So 1-1 in that one. Mizorowski gets they help out Mizorowski after giving up a run in the bottom of the first to tie things up. The Phillies continue to roll. Wheeler is out there, and they will presumably get back on track. If their offense is this hot to start and they can get to Mackenzie Gore, they will likely be able to get to the Nationals bullpen, because if it wasn't against Mackenzie Gore and he was able to get things back on track as he did last week, the Phillies, who have been struggling to put up runs, they would likely succeed against the Nationals bullpen, but that has since gone underway. As for Atlanta and Tennessee, this game is underway. They are kicking off right as we speak. And again, injuries and starters not playing is what we should be expecting. Again, Easton Stick is at the helm for the Falcons. Kirk Cousins is not playing. And again, we will see Cam Ward under center for the Titans, and hopefully seeing them get off to a bit of a faster start than they did last week. Their offense really wasn't moving. So again, if you want to be looking to back the Titans in any way, it would be a first quarter bet or something along those lines as they get off to, or hopefully get off to, an early start. As for the rest of the Major League Baseball games, which we have yet to touch on, we have a ton of games starting at 8. And the one important note that we should be making for the Padres and the Dodgers, the Padres put Michael King back on the IL yesterday with a knee issue, and he was supposed to start today versus Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers. The Padres have finally announced their starting pitcher, and that is Wandy Peralta for the Padres. The Dodgers were up at minus 170, 178. They have come down to minus 164. This is obviously a massive, massive series when it comes to the NL West standings overall. Over the past week, we saw the Dodgers get swept by the Angels, and we have seen the Padres take the division lead. They're now 1 game ahead of the Dodgers. This is a crucial series in, I'm not going to say fully determining the NL West, but we all know the Dodgers have not been playing well for really large stretches of this season, really since, let's call it the All-Star break, somewhere around there. The Dodgers have not been strong. Any capacity, their Mookie Betts has been struggling. We haven't seen consistent pitching from them. Their bullpen has struggled. Yes, they got Tyler Glasnow back. Yes, they got Blake Snell back, who looked pretty good in his first 2 starts, but the team simply hasn't been well-rounded. Max Muncy was out. Now he's back. He's not in today's lineup. Todd Edman gets hurt. We haven't seen the hitting from Teoscar Hernandez. It has been all over the place for the Dodgers. Long story short, I see no reason you should be looking to lay minus 164 in them. I think that's a crazy price to go to the Dodgers, knowing that, yeah, sure, the Kershaw has been better as of late, but I'm not laying minus 164 against a Padres team that is coming in with all the momentum, knowing that they want to go for the win, go for the division lead and really extend that at a certain point. So I like the Padres pregame at plus 138. And if you told me you could get the Dodgers on the other side in-game at a plus money price, I see that as a very, very viable option. I would also lean towards the under in this one, 9.5. It is sitting at minus 124. Over 9.5 is sitting at plus 102. I would say more often than not, if you played all 3 games to the under, I would expect 2 of the 3 to come through on that. Just a lower scoring playoff type of series is what I'm anticipating for that one. Other games we haven't touched on across the MLB slate. We have the Tigers with a nice comeback win yesterday when Scooball struggled early, settled things down. They come through in extra innings. Charlie Morton is on the mound for them. They're minus 134, taking on the Minnesota Twins. I would certainly lean on the over on that one. We have seen not good pitching from Charlie Morton really at any point this season. I know he was better for a stretch when he was with the Orioles, but still not great overall. The Twins traded everyone from their lineup. The pitching is terrible. The bullpen is terrible. And they still have some decent hitters in that lineup. So give me some scoring between Twins, Tigers. And then Orioles, Astros. This is rather interesting because the Astros are heavy minus 215 favorites. But it was just announced today that Josh Hader, their closer, will be shut down. That does impact things. So maybe you look to playing the Astros in a first 5 instead of potentially trusting them for the full game because their bullpen is that much weaker with Hader dealing with some shoulder soreness. He's not going on the IL, at least last time that I saw. He's just dealing with that, and they're going to shut him down for a few weeks. This does impact things as they are in a tight race with the Seattle Mariners. And, of course, we'll get to all of that coming up. Stay tuned. Game Time Decision rolls on after this break.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions. My name is Tom Vecchio right here on SportsGrid. We have action across the MLB slate. The Phillies scored in the top of the first. That cashed the Euro fee for that one. And we have seen the Nationals answer back, put one run on the board of their own. That first inning has ended. It is 2-1 Phillies going to the top of the second. But more importantly, we've seen Zach Wheeler go no strikeouts through the first inning, and that pitch count was over 20. So I spoke about Zach Wheeler under 7.5 strikeouts. Again, he's having a fantastic season, no doubt about that. But the Nationals, despite not being a good team, they're actually somewhat disciplined at the plate. Again, top 5 in the league for the lowest strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching this season. And again, he's dealing with the shoulder thing. And this is not something new. We've heard about this news for a couple of weeks at this point with Zach Wheeler when dating back to last week at this time, he was supposed to start on Friday when they were at the Texas Rangers. That was pushed back to Sunday because he's dealing with some I'm not going to say shoulder fatigue, but some shoulder issues. So combined with the Nationals' low strikeout rate and only 83 pitches last Sunday versus the Rangers, I was a little bit hesitant to say that Zach Wheeler would be, in fact, pushing to 8 strikeouts. Therefore, I like the under. I mentioned the pitch count because 20 pitches in one inning really isn't great for him, but it is good if you back the under 7.5. Next up, we have seen the Mariners jump out to a lead over the Mets. They scored in the top of the first. It is 1-0. They're going to the bottom of the first now. So another Euro fee cashes for a Friday baseball slate. And also the Mariners were one of my best bets of the day, getting them at plus money at plus 102. Right before game time, that number jumped up to as high as plus 110. And now the Mariners are minus 113 heading to the bottom of the first. Again, we saw the Brewers tie things up with a solo shot from Christian Yelich in the top of the second, and that is 1-1 now in the bottom of the second. Brewers again on a insane 12-game winning streak. They are minus 122 live on the money line. The Reds are minus 104. There was some news earlier today for the Reds that their young flamethrower Chase Burns has been shut down. It's not a long-term injury, and then there were some reports out there that he avoided the worst with the oblique injury, but he is now out of it as the Reds are trying to hunt down a wild card spot. So certainly a hit to their rotation. Still, Andrew Abbott has been super solid. Hunter Green has come back from them this past week. So as one pitcher leaves, another one comes back, as it happens time and time again in the MLB. But the Reds really could use him back during the stretch run. Although we did hear even earlier in the week that the Reds would be limiting Chase Burns. He would have an innings limit on him, protecting their future asset, which happens from time to time. And with this injury, and if they happen to fall out of the wild card race in the NL, I assume that will only be amplified where he may only be out there, if he even comes back, for only a handful of innings at times, as you see with the wild card race. The Reds are right there, along with the Mets. I will say it wasn't great for the Reds last week when they're losing back-to-back games versus the Pirates when the Mets were on a 7-game losing streak. If you want to show you belong in the NL and a wild card race or any wild card race, you have to strike when you can, when the team you're chasing happens to be losing 6-7 games in a row. The Reds really weren't able to do that. They are right there, though. But again, the Chase Burns injury is certainly a big one for that. Again, Philly's still up 2-1 in that. And when it comes to the NFL, the preseason game, the Titans at the Falcons, we saw the Falcons get the ball. Falcons punted away the ball. They did eat up a decent amount of clock with Easton Stick at the helm for them, but the Titans have the ball back. And last I saw, the Titans jumped up to a minus 3.5 point favorite. Again, the line was at 3 when the show opened. Closer to kickoff, we saw the line actually move to 2.5 in favor of the Titans. There was some buy-in on the Falcons to move that number. And last I saw, it was at minus 3.5 for the Titans. We now see that locked for now. Again, we have another NFL game coming up later tonight between the Chiefs and the Seahawks. We already went through that. That is staying at 4.5 with a 39.5 total for that one. As I mentioned, we don't necessarily want to be buying in on too many of these or any of these over trends that we saw last week with the NFL preseason and all of these games, or nearly all of them, flying over. What we saw last week has really no indication or no correlation of what we're going to be seeing this week for the NFL preseason. Again, you can buy into trends and say, oh, every game's going to go over. I'm just going to blindly bet every over, and I'm just hoping to come out, more often than not with some wins. Don't do that. That's really not what we should be seeing. we should be seeing individual games and assessments based on the news and notes, and more importantly, the lines that we have for these games. So if we know that starters are not going to be out there and the best of the best offensive players are only going to be out there for one quarter, that leaves us with 3 quarters of backups. And if we see the lines go from 36 or 37 last week, and now all of a sudden they're up at 39 or 40, we're now expecting non-starters to do more scoring. No, we want to be individual assessing things on a game-by-game basis. So don't buy into too many of those trends. We have seen the Mets now tie things up with the Francisco Lindor leadoff homer to tie things 1-1 for the Mets. So both teams scoring in the first. We had a Julio Rodriguez double to in the top of the first. Randy Arozarena scored. So if you played a J-Rod total base prop, he has a double to cash that. Lindor also cashes his total base prop in the bottom of the first, along with an RBI prop. If you're playing that, it is 1-1 Mariners Mets. And we will get a live line on that once that is certainly updated. A slew of MLB games we still not to touch on. Yankees, Cardinals. Yankees with Luis Gil on the mound, they're minus 146 road favorites. The Cardinals are plus 124. It is a 9 over-under. Frankly, that's a crazy line for the Yankees at minus 146. We understand that the Cardinals are not a good team, but the Yankees have been playing terribly as of late. They're not getting starting pitching. They're not getting bullpen help. They're not getting fielding, and the bats seemingly go quiet against some of the easiest matchups they could certainly have. Are the Yankees the quote-unquote better team compared to the Cardinals? Sure, I think most people would agree with that, but they've not been playing that way. And, laying almost minus 150 on the Yankees, I think, is crazy at this point. So I would lean on the under. I would certainly lean on the Cardinals, getting them at plus 124 while you can. We have other games coming up. We will touch on all those. Diamondbacks, Rockies at Coors Field. There can always be runs there. I will say Chris Kofsky, one of his best bets, one of our producers yesterday, was under 12.5 in Diamondbacks, Rockies. That did come through. We can touch on that. Angels, Athletics, we will certainly touch on. And then, we will have Adam Kaplan coming on in about 10 minutes to talk through some NFL storylines, the preseason, training camp, you name it. Stay tuned right here on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this slice 5-iron. That was just, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that's place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back right here on Game Time Decisions. My name is Tom Vecchio. We have baseball action starting, underway, about to start, you name it. We have late games. We have news trickling in for the Dodgers. They are placing Max Muncy back on the IL. Recently returned from the IL. He's back there now. Their offense just isn't at full strength. The line for the Dodgers, has moved a little bit. It's now minus 164, plus 138 for the Padres, 9.5 over under. Again, Wandy Peralta will be starting for the Padres. Looks to be a bit of a bullpen game. They also recalled Randy Vasquez with the correlating move when they put Michael King on IR yesterday. He is hoping to return by the end of August. That was the recent note for that. We didn't touch on Diamondbacks Rockies. Again, that game is obviously at Coors Field. The Diamondbacks are minus 194 on the money line. The Rockies are plus 162. We have an 11.5 over under for that one. Is juiced to the over and minus 122. Again, we saw that game fall to the under yesterday. The Rockies just couldn't do their part. The Diamondbacks, they're going to score runs. Like, the Diamondbacks still have a good lineup, despite the fact that they traded Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez to the Mariners. They still have some hitters in that lineup, and obviously, anytime you get the Rockies pitching staff involved, they're likely to be runs scored, but 11.5 is certainly a big ask for that one. Angels Athletics, this is one game we haven't touched on. Two teams aren't in the playoff picture. Minus 102 for the Athletics. It's minus 116 for the Angels. 10 over under. This is a game that we could simply move on from. If you want to back the Angels with Yusei Kikuchi in the first 5, I would certainly look to do that instead of the Angels full game money line. Their bullpen certainly isn't great. So Angels first 5 is something that I would certainly be inclined to lean towards. And then finally, Rays Giants, the last game on the board we even talked about. Giants don't know how to hit the ball. They can't score, whatever you want to call it. They're minus 130 at home, taking on the Rays at plus 110. It is a 7.5 over under. It's slightly juiced to the over, minus 124. We know this is a massive pitcher's ballpark, but there's just been no offense from the Giants. We saw it in the series versus the Padres. They can't score. They have a solo shot here or there that gets some runs on the board, but I do not see this as a high-scoring series, an exciting series when it's all said and done, outside of us getting scorching hot temperatures and wind blowing out, even though the ballpark was built and designed to minimize the impact of the wind. We're probably not going to be seeing a whole lot of runs across the board. If there's any run scoring, it's going to be coming from the Rays side of things. We could see a lot of these games end 5-2, 4-1, 6-2, somewhere around there. Maybe one game pushes over and you win by the hook. But frankly, I would not be looking to have too much action on any of those games. So a full MLB slate coming up. We have games underway. The Mariners put another run on the board in the top of the second. They go up 2-1 over the New York Mets. And we have seen the Nerfy come through for the Rangers and the Blue Jays. DeGrom going up against Chris Bassett, 0-0, heading to the top of the second in that one. We've also seen the Nerfy come through in Braves Guardians, along with the Nerfy come through in Mariners Red Sox. So we have a handful of Nerfies coming through between the Brewers and the Reds, the Phillies Nats, and the Mets Mariners. Those were all Nerfies. And then we saw another 3, Rangers Blue Jays, Braves Guardians, Marlins Red Sox with Nerfies. As for the NFL preseason game, still underway. We have seen the teams trade punts back and forth. We saw Cam Ward start things off with a nice 35-yard completion, a little catch and run for the Titans, but they ended up punting that ball back to the Falcons. And again, Michael Penix not under center for them today, along with most of their offensive starters not playing. There's also no pregame that Kirk Cousins will not be playing from the Falcons. And again, likely moving him, or at least my guess is that they're going to be moving him at a certain point later in the season, cut him, eat the dead salary, and trade him to a team, whatever it might be, some combination of that, because some other team's going to need it. And we have a long touchdown from now Easton Stick. No, that was a return interception by the Titans. So their line is jumping all over the place. Again, it was 3 to close, moved to 2.5, and then went to 3.5 when they had the ball. But a return for the Titans puts them up 6-0. We will get the lines once those are back and unlocked. So a full MLB slate underway, the first NFL preseason game underway. We have another NFL preseason game coming up a little bit later tonight at 10 p.m. with the Seattle Seahawks hosting Kansas City Chiefs. We've had a ton of news about the Kansas City Chiefs and their players coming out over the past few days. Coming up in the next segment, we will have Adam Kaplan on to talk about the NFL news, notes, training camps, reports, you name it, all that, because we have an entire weekend of NFL preseason football starting tomorrow between the Dolphins and the Lions at 1 p.m. We have games on Sunday, and of course, we have a game on Monday night. So plenty to get to between MLB, NFL preseason. Stay tuned right here on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions will continue to roll all through these games. We'll be right back.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron that was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay, a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions right here on SportsGrid. My name is Tom Vecchio. Again, we have two NFL preseason games. We have the Titans and the Falcons. They are underway. It is 6-0 Titans in that one. Chiefs Seahawks coming up a little bit later, and let's welcome on none other than Adam Kaplan to break all of this down, not just for tonight's game, but an entire weekend of preseason football. Adam, we were discussing during the break of, getting an idea of who's going to be playing, how much they're going to be playing. That has changed quite a bit, and you certainly have some insight on that.
Yeah, Tom. So let me give you an example of how things have changed. So since the NFL 4 years ago went from 4 to 3 preseason game, it's really different. When I started coming to the league, 1999, 2000 era, it was 4 games, unless you had a fifth if you were in the Hall of Fame game. But first game, no starters play. Second game, starters play a quarter. Third game, called the dress rehearsal, would play half or into the third quarter. And fourth game, nobody dressed who was a starter. Now it's so up in the air. In fact, talking to coaches over the last couple of years about this, and also recently, they play players who they have questions about or they think needs work. So sometimes you might mix some backups in with starters. So with the Browns this week in Philly, they were here for 2 joint practices. Now, it sounds like their plan is not to play the starters, but if you have a competition, Tom, where you're not sure who's going to start, 2 guys are going to compete for it, well, these guys are going to play. Like, for instance, the Eagles, right? At one cornerback spot is Quinyon Mitchell. He's terrific. He was a first-rounder last year. He's probably one of the best young corners in the NFL already. But at the other corner spot, they don't know who's starting. So you're going to see Adoree Jackson, who was with the Giants the last couple of years. He's competing for a starting job against Keely Ringo, who was a 4th-round pick from a couple of years ago. So Eagles are going to play those guys because they have to get answers. You mentioned before I was on, I heard you talk about Kirk Cousins. The Falcons know who he is. They own $37.5 million over the next 2 seasons, fully guaranteed. Good luck trying to trade that contract now. So what'll happen there is if they're able to move him by early September, and they claim they're not trying to, which you could believe what you want, they're going to have to eat a lot of that cash. That has nothing to do with the salary cap. It's cash, real cash money time. $27.5 million this season and $10 million in 26. So they're going to have to eat a lot of that money in order to move him.
Right, and the playing time differential is all over the place. I saw a report earlier today that the joint practice between the Bucs and the Steelers, that Baker Mayfield looked so good during the joint practice that he's actually not going to be playing tomorrow. So what is the balance that you hear of, they know who Baker is. We know who Baker is for years at this point, but him just getting in the rhythm of things. They don't have Chris Godwin yet, emerging rookie with Emeka Buka, who I'm very high on. Where's the balance lie between we know who he is, but we also need to get him into the rhythm of things?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. So here's the way they look at it, Tom. So I think there were 9 joint practices this week amongst teams. There actually one was actually canceled, but there were 9. The Washington-Baltimore one, which I was going to go to next week, and Washington's canceled. But when you have 18 teams working with each other, Tom, you're getting good work. Now, some are 1 day, some are 2 days. Like the Steelers ones you were talking about was just today, or actually it was yesterday on the 14th. But the way that coaches look at it from talking to them, if they feel they got good work in, why would you expose them to get tackled in a game where you just had, by the way, out east, Tom, as you know, being out here, very humid, high 80s, low 90s. You don't need to work them. Now, a guy like Emeka Buka needs reps. Chris Godwin, someday he'll take over their slot receiver. Buka right now could play what's called the Z position, which is the move position, or the slot position for the Bucs. And I know they're super excited about him. Who's their 1st-round pick? He needs work. That's the kind of guy who should be playing.
So when it comes to one of the games that catches my eye immediately would be the Pats and the Vikings, because we saw J.J. McCarthy look good last week. The Pats, from year to year, this has to be one of the biggest roster changes and just an increase in overall talent. Bringing in rookies, Drake May looked good at times last year. Any thoughts on this one? Because I think J.J. McCarthy needs to see more reps.
He did, and he played last week. He did. In fact, it's a shame, Tom, and people don't remember this, but this is what happened. So he got hurt in the first preseason game last year at home against the Raiders. The Raiders got a lot of pressure on him, but he stood and delivered. His mechanics were way improved. Kevin O'Connell, their head coach who calls the plays, is one of the better quarterback developers in the National Football League. You're absolutely right. He needs reps. But for New England, I'm talking to them, the guy that they're super excited about, we know where Ramondre Stevenson is their starter, Tom, at running back, but Travion Henderson had that big kickoff return last week. What I'm told is he's, depending on which team you talk to, but my consensus was best pass protecting back for this draft. It's going to be 2-man backfield, okay? For fantasy, I don't shy away from Henderson at all, even if it's not what we call a dynasty league where you keep your play from year to year. I told people it's the same as Jahmyr Gibbs. People were so scared about David Montgomery. Tom, it didn't matter. They both were going to play. And Jahmyr Gibbs is special. He's an elite already. Travion Henderson isn't that talented. He's not far away. But rookies will play at running back if you can pass protect, and he's elite at it.
I'm very deep into a couple dynasty leagues, so I have my eye on a number of them. When it comes to the Packers, though, this is where I have some questions because Jordan Love, hand surgery, non-throwing hand, a lot of wide receivers on this team. They draft Golden, Dobbs is still there. Is it Wicks? Is it Reed? Like, what are your thoughts? Watson is there. What are your thoughts on the Packers and their offense, which seems to be all over the place?
Yeah, look, that's a shame that Love's not getting these reps, but they're optimistic for week 1 with the hand procedure. But when you look at their situation with Matthew Golden, why they drafted him, Tom, was Watson coming off a torn ACL, right? They want juice in their pass game. You're right that they have a lot of pass targets. They're too deep at tight end. Kraft is really, really good, very underrated at tight end. At receiver, and that was the thing with Dontavian Wicks and why I wasn't high on him last year. Too many mouths to feed. They're a legit 5 deep at wide receiver. So Matthew Golden will play as a rookie. He's definitely going to be in the rotation. I would like him more in a dynasty league because there's just too many guys there. Remember, Dobbs is on the final year of his rookie deal. Watson's near the end of his contract. You got to see what happens after the season. That's when you'll know clearly for down the road and keep our dynasty leagues whether he's going to be that guy.
So from one Matthew to another, the Matt Stafford injury news there is nothing encouraging about this. He's hurt. He may practice. Oh, he's not going to practice. Oh, he's getting treatment. He's doing At what point are we concerned with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams? Because frankly, when it's all said and done, Kyron Williams is going to be in for a minimum of 20 carries on a game-by-game basis. But the Puka Devontae production has to take a hit at some point if Stafford isn't ready to go.
Yeah, I would say for the long term, it would worry me. He's had back problems before, and he seemingly always plays. And you're talking about a guy in his late 30s at that position with all the contact, the sacks, being thrown to the ground, the trauma to his back. You worry about that, Tom. And you're right, for fantasy, you got to lower it by 10%. It's not that he won't play a lot this season. It's the question is, will he last? And you do worry about that. By the way, Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a really good signing to be their backup quarterback there for the Rams. And I like that for them. But yeah, I would have some concern. And honestly, for future bettors, if you're looking at the futures market, and I know that the Niners are a slight favorite, well, you got to give the Niners a little bit of love. And my sleeper team that nobody's talking about, those Seahawks, who I believe strongly could get a wild card spot in the NFC. I know a lot of people are against me. The better sure are, but I like the Seahawks to shock the world and make the playoffs this year.
Okay, I like the Cardinals. I think they've done a lot right. I like the system that they have. I think they're going to cause a lot of trouble for teams, more trouble than they did last year. That's Adam Kaplan. Great NFL insight as always. We have NFL preseason games going on tonight. Another one starting later with those Seahawks taking on the Chiefs. A full slate tomorrow, Sunday, Monday night, preseason football. All right here. We'll have you on SportsGrid. Game time decisions. We'll be back right after this. We will touch base on that the Falcons-Titans game, the MLB slate. We will run through all of that. So thank you to Adam for stopping by, giving us some insight on the NFL. We'll be right back. Game time decisions continues after this.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. If you just take them that's place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions. Thanks to Adam Kaplan for stopping by. We are back to some MLB. We have seen an explosion of runs from the Reds. They are up 8-1 over the Brewers. Still 2-1 Phillies Nats. Rangers go up 3-0 on a Higashioka homer for the Rangers. Marlins put a run across the board. Mets bounce back and score 3-2. Let's now welcome on Rob Donaldson to talk through today's MLB slate. And firstly, Rob, I just want one quick question. Has anything changed for you when it comes to evaluating teams or finding bets post deadline? Are you now leaning into more first fives because the bullpens are bad? Are you going to more full games because teams' bullpens got better?
Well, it's a little bit of both, right? If you like, say, a team on the money line or like that side to have the edge in the game, well, you kind of got to determine whether or not that bullpen is actually still intact post trade deadline. Because if they aren't, then you're definitely targeting the first five. Because what we've seen from these bullpens that kind of blew up post trade deadline is a lot of runs start flowing in on the back end, which is great for the over, really bad for the under, and really good if you're just kind of targeting a first five market because you're catching kind of that good value bet on, even though the full game is kind of like, I guess a little bit misleading from that standpoint.
So I know you tweet out plays every day or almost every day, if I'm right there, but talk me through today's slate because we have an entire slate of games, obviously a lot of big series across the league. You have some action underway. What do you got?
Yeah, so right now I thought this would be a really good spot to kind of target Zach Wheeler through the first five because he's been giving up a lot of hard contact as of late. And as we kind of know, the Nationals, yeah, they did sell, but they stayed pretty intact in terms of their actual lineup. And a lot of the pieces that they have right now are hitting the ball hard. And if they had any pitching support, that's kind of one of the teams that did sell off their pitching. They would be a team that I think could contend down the stretch and just in those individual game pockets. But, we'll see. I have over 3.5 through the first five there. Just need that one more run to leak through from one of the sides. But that's definitely one through this kind of first window that I really liked.
So would hard contact be one of the leading indicators that you look at on a game by game basis? For me, it is. I prefer hard contact. I'll prefer xFIP over ERA. Look at some of those underlying metrics to know that like a pitcher is prone to big downfalls, and when that comes, the runs really should be pouring in on the other side.
100%, because you can't dodge those bullets forever. Like sometimes I remember Bryce Elder last year, he was coming up and initially he was giving up a ton of hard contact, but he still had that sub 2 ERA. And so when you do have that kind of discrepancy, even over recent starts or when you're gauging a team's just overall performance, like the Brewers tonight with Mizorowski, I view that as a really good fade opportunity on those types of pitchers because, hey, eventually one will leave the yard, maybe two do, and all of a sudden that edge, that perceived edge via the ERA stat line, on the surface kind of goes out the window right away.
So talk me through the Mets because I opened up the show talking about the Mariners. Money line is one of my best bets. I was also on the Zach Wheeler under strikeouts, so that seems to be going well. But talk me through the Mets because they've been struggling. The pitching staff isn't good. The bullpen hasn't been good, and the Mariners, outside of this 2-game losses to the Orioles, they've been super hot. So what brought you into the Mets money line today?
Yeah, there's a number of Mets bats over the last 10 games. I kind of look at it through a 2 or 3 game cycle when I'm talking about, hard hit percentages rather than like the full season outlook. And from that standpoint, the Mets have been hitting the ball a little bit hard over the last 10 games. And so it does kind of point to, hey, yeah, the offense has been doing a little bit of its part, but I do think they're going to be able to continue kind of keeping that path with run support. And it just takes that one game from the Mets bullpen, which is fresh tonight, to go out there and at least hold on to a lead if they can build one. And Luis Castillo, one of those pitchers that does have that sub 4 ERA and almost to like the Chris Bassett extent where, yeah, sometimes he's going to go out there and shove for 7 innings. Other times he's going 5 or 6 and giving up 4 or 5 earned runs. That's just kind of the nature of Luis Castillo, and that makes him kind of the ultimate wild card to back in these sorts of spots.
Right. So I know you have no late games on this, but the Padres Dodgers series is massively important for the NL West overall. And this number has shifted dramatically because it was minus 184 earlier. Right now it's minus 146, at least on FanDuel, for the Dodgers. That is a significant line movement. And this is after the Padres announced their starting pitcher, which at least should be Wandy Peralta, to open up the game. So you have any thoughts on this, any action on this, and or do you have any futures to close out the MLB season?
Yeah, this is one that I almost feel bad about posting, but I posted it last night. I got the Dodgers at minus 110 on the money line through the first 5 when Michael King was slated to start. Then an hour later, he's no longer slated to start, and that number jumped up to the Dodgers. Now it's been in kind of this weird roller coaster ride, and I do think we see a little bit of a vintage Kershaw tonight. You know, he's been limiting hard contact. He's been going out there and dealing as of late. When we saw him go up against Max Scherzer and kind of that, prime time-esque type of field game against the Blue Jays, he went out there and shoved. And now with a 1-game difference in the NL West standings, we get Clayton Kershaw versus a rival in the San Diego Padres that now has the lead. I feel like we could get a vintage Kershaw outing, and under on earned runs, the Dodgers on the run line through the first 5, 2 angles that I really, really love in that game tonight.
Okay, so I have some futures regarding the Dodgers in terms of the Dodgers to beat the Mets, direct outcome in the NLCS. How do you feel about that at this point? It's at 15-1. I've had it since before the season started.
I know you've been going through an absolute roller coaster with that ticket just mentally, because the Mets have been like up where Tyler McGill was going out there, and all of a sudden it was like, hey, we found an ace somehow in this. Sean Manaea is going to be coming back, Kota Senga, and everything just hasn't come to fruition in terms of that, that pitching staff and the additions that they make deadline with Ryan Helsley. Oh my goodness, that's already been kind of going in a weird spot. And if they don't have that pitching, well, they don't have that glue that they had last season, and all of a sudden it's in a bad spot.
Yeah, holding on to that one since March or even earlier, maybe in February, but that's likely coming to a close. I don't even know if the Mets are going to make the playoffs at this point, but that is Rob Donaldson. Great MLB insight, as always, a frequent guest here on Game Time Decisions, in-game live, all across the SportsGrid network. Thanks to him. Follow him on Twitter. He's generally tweeting out plays every single day. We'll be back right here on Game Time Decisions.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point, if Aaron Jones misses time, where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
An HRR, parlay, a combo that you want to do. I generally prefer away teams and players that hit at the top of the lineup or in the top half, just because you are guaranteed just that extra plate appearance here or there. How many times, throughout the season, I've been like, listen, if this guy gets on, he will have one more at bat in the 9th inning. And if he doesn't get there, there. If you just take them that place higher, they're going to be in a spot to cash that bag.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What's going on? Welcome back to Game Time Decisions. Thanks to Rob Donaldson for stopping by, some MLB insight. Let's do a recap of the MLB action, as the NFL game has been super quiet with just that one touchdown. It is 6-0 Titans over the Falcons. The live total has plummeted to 31.5, and it doesn't look like this game is going to be going over. But let's recap the MLB slate. As I mentioned before, the Reds got out to a big 8-1 lead over the Brewers. Mizorowski returned off the IL for the Brewers today. Things did not go well for him, especially in that second inning. But a little bit of Christian Yelich, a little bit of Andrew Vaughn, and all of a sudden it is 8-5 for the Reds and the Brewers. That game has flown over its total. Phillies and Nats, that game is now tied up 2-2. The Rangers are still up 3-0. Braves, Guardians, 0-0. Marlins, Red Sox, still 1-0. Mariners, with a Cal Raleigh home run, have gone up 4-3. It is the top of the third. Mariners jump out to -166 on the money line, which is a perfect segue into the Game Time Decision, the crew best bets for today. One of which was mine, the Mariners money line. Now, it is the top of the third. We are far from over in this game, but I really like the idea of getting plus money on the Mariners. I always like good teams to bounce back after a couple losses, and that's where the Mariners are. So Mariners money line plus 102. It got up to about plus 110 or so right before first pitch. I also talked about Zach Wheeler under 7.5 strikeouts for the Phillies. And then we have two more from our producers. This is Wheeler -128 going under. He's at 3 strikeouts, 72 pitches through 3.2 innings. It is the bottom of the fourth. And again, he was at 83 pitches last Sunday against the Rangers. I just did not expect him to go super deep in this. But let's get to the other crew best bets. Matt, one of our producers for the Lions money line tomorrow, NFL preseason at plus 100, going up against the Dolphins. That spread is sitting at 1.5 in favor of the road Dolphins. They are -118 on the money line. He is going to the Detroit Lions at plus 100. The home team getting some points. Just give me the money line instead at plus 100. And then Tommy from the clouds going with not baseball, not football, but some EPL action on Sunday morning with Man U to upset Arsenal. Obviously, the EPL got underway today. We saw Liverpool come back with a 4-2 victory. They were up 2-0 through about 60 minutes. They then blow a 2-goal lead, and then they score in the 87th minute, I believe it was, and then Mo Salah put one in extra time to come out with a 4-2 victory. So the EPL and soccer leagues really across the world got started today, yesterday, whatever it might be, and it is a huge weekend for EPL, La Liga, Bundesliga, etc. So Matt likes the Lions tomorrow at plus 100. That game is at 1 p.m., and then Tommy likes Man U to come through with the win. That is Sunday morning. I believe that's at 9 or 9:30, whatever it might be. So Titans still up 6-0 over the Falcons. We are beginning portion of the second quarter, about 12 minutes left. That game is certainly trending under. Again, Mariners up 4-3 over the Mets. Marlins 1-0 over the Red Sox. Braves, Guardians still 0-0. Rangers, Blue Jays 3-0. And it is now 8-6 in favor of the Reds. The Brewers get yet another run across the board. They simply will not die. This 12-game winning streak that they have, they're looking to continue it. And with 14 total runs through the top of the third, I can't wait to see what this live line is once this game, once the lines unlock, because 14, we got to be pushing, I'm going to say 20-ish, 18.5, 19, somewhere around there, because obviously, the Great American Small Park is a run factory. We know that is a very high-scoring environment. But if we're going to be seeing full-on Reds bullpen in this with the Brewers offense that they have, we have to be pushing close to 20. Regardless of that, it will be a full weekend of MLB action as we have some massive series. We're coming down to the final 6 weeks or so for that. Again, we have preseason all day tomorrow starting at 1 p.m. We have preseason on Sunday, and we even have that preseason game on Monday. Myself, I will be back tomorrow on In Game Live doing a segment, 3 hours, 4 to 7 tomorrow. We'll be covering all baseball and the NFL preseason. Sunday morning, you can find me on Pro Baseball Today alongside Donnie Brightside from 10 to 12, going through every single game on the MLB slate. And then I will be back next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right here, Game Time Decisions, same time, running through baseball, a recap of what we had from the preseason games this weekend. Then we'll go back to the segment that we had yesterday, which was Tom's 12, the top 12 players per fantasy position. Yesterday, we did running backs. Next week, we will hit wide receivers, quarterbacks, and even if we have time, we'll get to some tight ends. So right now, I'm passing off to Gabe and Scott for In-Game Live. Thank you for being here on Game Time Decisions. And again, I will be back on Monday, same time, 6:30 to 8, running for Game Time Decisions. Baseball, go Mariners, Zach Wheeler, under 7.5 strikeouts. That's what we want to see come through. Catch you guys next time.